Corn and soybeans, we kind of do things a little bit differently. We always like to put a pre-emergence down on corn to control some of the early weeds, and then we'll come back with a post spray. Soybeans, I'll do just a mixed bag. Sometimes if we have fields that we have tilled in the fall, we'll come back in and I might just run a field cultivator over early in the season, just level it down, and then I'll come in and plant later without any herbicide on. On that type of situation, I'll come in and scout and see what type of weeds we have showing up after the weeds have emerged, and then we'll come in and spray. And we might get by with just one application of spraying. We have these 15-inch row soybeans, they canopy sooner, and we've gotten by before where we haven't had to come back and do a second spray. Where we no-till, we'll always put a pre-emergent down and kill all the weeds, because you're going to have a little more problems with weeds on a no-till situation. And so we'll spray that probably even before we plant. And then we'll look at it after the beans come up and see where we stand there. Usually can happen, we can delay our second or post spraying because we have that application down. We'll probably normally have to spray a second application. We'll go out and scout, see what our weed situation is. Scouting's a big part of what you have to do. It keeps us busy for pretty much the month of June. You know, we're spraying, we're scouting. When we get into July, we'll be scouting again for fungus and diseases of leaf diseases and things like that. Right now it's all weeds and taking care of the weeds. Spraying the crops can be really challenging sometimes because of weather conditions. We have nozzles on there, and so it doesn't drift bad. So it just comes down on the weeds that we're trying to spray. So you have to be aware of the wind, how strong it is, the direction the wind's blowing, because you have maybe neighbors that has a different crop that the chemicals we're using might affect his crop. Wind cannot be blowing very strong. Also on spraying, you have to be aware of rain systems moving in, because the chemical has to have time period where it can absorb into the leaves of the weeds. If we see a storm in, know that there might be something that 30, 40, 50 miles away, we might have to stop spraying for a while, because the chemical just will not work as good if you get a rain on what you have just sprayed. Weather can play is a real factor in us getting our crop sprayed, getting it done right, and getting it done on time. Some chemicals need to kill the weeds at that germination stage. It won't kill them after the weeds are up. So there's a real time issue there that you have to kind of take into play. And let's say it stays too wet and you weren't able to get your chemical on that you were planning on, needed to kill the weeds at germination time. Now you're going to have to change your program. You're going to have to change the chemical that you were planning on spraying and maybe go to a different chemical. There's different ways to go about it, and sometimes you just have to change your program if things don't work out. Chemicals we spray for corn would kill the soybeans. So we want to get our corn sprayed, then we go and we clean out our sprayer. And we rinse out our sprayer several times, and we put in, you know, a product in there that kind of will help clean off the walls of the sprayer and the hoses and stuff. But it's a process. We don't want to be switching back to corn, spraying soybeans, then go back to spraying corn.